Let's see how you can analyze subscribers and groups in Bequant BQN or Cambium QoE, which is the same product. In this network, there are 728 active subscribers at this point, and there are 51 groups defined. These groups come from the UISP plugin that we have developed, which communicates with Ubiquiti UISP and gets all the information about the access points and the sectors that each user belongs to. So now we can see these are all the groups in this network, these 51 entries, but let's look at their metrics over 1 week, for instance. And in this case, we have now the average speed, and we can see that for a few of these users, but we can decide to see it for all. Okay, and this would be, but this metric is just the average speed, and of course you have average speed for the whole network, higher than the rest. Let's look at something more interesting like the latency. Okay, so, and not only that, let's look at the latency just for the access points so that we can compare them between what's happened. So in this case, the ones starting with L1 are the groups that each one of them has the access points in this network. They have around 50 to 30 users each, and let's then select these new ones. Okay, so now we're seeing the latency, and there are always these outliers, sometimes from some measurements there. But now you can see this in this line chart. This sometimes difficult to see exactly what is going on, right? Because there's a lot of noise. But many times with this heat map, which represents the same thing but just in colors and shades, like whiter is higher and bluer, darker is lower numbers. And for this metric, we can get here the mean of this period, and so we can order here, and we have then groups that have a mean of 14 milliseconds versus groups that have less than half. So if we want to see maybe one of those groups, for instance, this one, this access point, we click here and we go to this dashboard where we'll see the average speed over time over that week, the flows over time compared, the active ones, the number of flows created per minute, the latency over time, the packet retransmissions, the congestion, the maximum, the percent of traffic that is going at maximum speed. And very interesting here, these scatter plots that relate the average speed with the different metrics, for instance, the access latency. And you can see clearly here that when the average speed of this group, this access point, goes beyond 40, the latency is going up substantially from 10 milliseconds to 20 to 25. So here it might make sense to add a limit, maybe a 40 megabit plan rate, so that we would then, with this, okay, if we selected this, enforce this 40 megabit rate limit to the whole group. But we can also go further, and now let's dive into the subscribers in this group. Okay, and now we'll see all the active subscribers, their metrics over this period of time. Well, in particular, now we're looking at the latency. Okay, and by default you'll get just a few, but since we have 50 of them, let's look at all of them. Okay, select all of them to plot, and we'll see them, and we then can compare if certain users have some problems in terms of latency. We can also order them here, for instance, and we'll see that some of them have average latencies around 20 something compared to 10. So yeah, there are some that have worse latency. As usual, these outliers, is good to get rid of them. And now you'll see better patterns here also. And in fact, if we want, we can analyze and go into the data for any of these users. For instance, this one. Okay, this user, well, it's here. You can see, for instance, there. Here you can see the maximum speed over time. How they have, yeah, it's clear they have a rate limit around 25. Yeah. And symmetric, and this is the actual average speed. You can see then the individual metrics for this user. You can also see these same metrics. It looks like it's clear now that they don't have, in this case, this kind of a congestion for this one. And over here, we'll also get the DPI for this user. So we'll be able to see basically what are the main applications that are these are the active flows at this point in time. Okay, and here we now got all the DPI, the deep packet inspection. What is basically what has this user been doing in case it is useful for analyzing any problems. We can also see the latency. This is very interesting. This is latency not towards the user but from the server. So you can see that, for instance, TikTok and Apple is coming from quite far away, from 40 or 47 milliseconds, whereas, for instance, WhatsApp is coming from much closer. Okay, and finally, if we need to, we can even see all the metrics for this user in real time. So now we'll actually see not just the metrics, in this case, the current speed, the latency, the packet retransmissions and the flows, okay, but also the kind of applications that are being used right now. Okay, so yeah. And in fact, if we go further, we can go and compare a certain user with all the users, with the metrics for this user, with the metrics of the groups that it belongs to, so that trying to compare whether, you know, this user, which we can see there as, but we can also, I'm using the IP address for privacy, but you can actually also use their subscriber ID, you know, which would show names, the names or whatever you have configured to have there as a subscriber ID. But here you can compare, in this case, the average speed, but all other metrics, and so see to what extent, you know, the metrics for this user are very different from the metrics for all the network, or for the metrics from the, in this case, the access point it belongs to, and from the metrics of the sector it belongs to. We can see that the metrics are quite similar to the access point, and also not so dissimilar to the ones for the sector. Okay,